So I think we are live. Please, can you confirm whether we are live or not?
Yeah, we are live.
Yeah, we are live. So please, you can
Yeah.
continue.
Hi, Via. Hi, Arnab. Hi, Shrutishna. Hello. Hello to all, everybody watching us in the YouTube, everybody in the community out there, to everybody, all the participants of DaeDarus Hack. A very good afternoon, I guess, and thank you so much for joining us today. So today we have with us a great person from the, he has done wonders. He is just at the pinnacle of success, if we can say. I don't know. It would be yeah. He's laughing, and you can just see the smile. Yeah, and so we today we have with us Prithvi Raj. He is an ex-student from. He is an alumni of KIIT University. He is the community manager at Litmus Chaos currently, and I wouldn't want to be the to break the ice for him, because there are lots and lots and lots of things that he has done. And if you want to know how he has done it, there he has made a podcast and everything. You can check our channel. There's a video that where he came with us. Thank you so much, Bhaiya, for joining us again. And I would open the stage to you because of course, yeah.
Thanks a lot, Abhinav, and I hope I'm audible. Thanks a lot, Shrutishna, Arnab, and all the organizers of DaeDarus Hack. I hope I pronounce it properly. And I'm glad to be a part of this session. I'm glad to be talking to you all, whoever is watching right now. So perhaps I'll share my screen, and I want it to be an informal session, to be honest, not a formal presentation. So I haven't prepared a lot of stuff, but yeah, I hope this session is pretty useful to you, and let's keep chatting, and feel free to ask your questions in chat as well. So I hope I'm able to share my screen. Is my screen visible?
Oh, I guess no, you are not visible.
Okay,
Yeah. I'm really.
my my
Right.
screen is visible, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I mean, this is the talk is about first steps to contributing to Cloud-Native and CNCF projects, and more or less, the focus is basically to get you all to contribute in some way or the other. And understand most of you are college students who are joining in, and I mean, you'll be inclined towards contributing to these projects. So what exactly is the cloud native space? Before getting started, I think one thing I would like to talk about is the focus on AI and ML that everyone has. And lately, I mean, honestly speaking, I see a lot of students who are focusing on AI, ML, and Android and such web development and such technologies, which have crossed that chasm of adoption, or they have reached a space where people are already adopting it. People are already like, AI and ML have made such progress in the technology space that the scope of learning or the scope of contributing to it is less. I'm not saying that there's no scope to contribute, but the scope of contributing to it overall is lesser than what there is or what there lies in the cloud native space. And when I talk about the cloud native space, it's not cloud computing, make no mistake. Cloud computing is one part of it, but cloud native technologies are completely different. They have still a lot of potential left, and they are coming up in a huge way. CNCF as a foundation was just founded in 2015. So it's just been 6 years, and in 6 years, the inroads that CNCF or cloud native technologies have made. Obviously, I think that is something you need to contribute to. That is one thing. And then the second thing is, I mean, a lot of people watching might be actually worried about their placements. Some might be in first year, second year, or third year. And second year and third year students, or even students from fourth year who are preparing for their placements, or who feel that a 9 to 5 job or a job in full stack, or back-end front-end development as a back-end front-end developer is not something they want to do as a career objective, then I'll be honest with you, the opportunities which this cloud native world provides, not in just terms of the technology based jobs but also in terms of the non-tech based jobs, I think that's wonderful. I mean, I personally am a community manager. I think a lot of people might ask what a community manager exactly is. I'll go to it later on, but a community manager doesn't have to do with being a techno savvy job or a technical based job. So that is where you might be able to understand that you don't have to be someone who's technical in nature. You don't have to be someone who knows a lot about it, but being a part of this space, just joining in helps you learn a lot. So with this, I would like to start off, and I'll also like to talk about my journey, and then we'll talk about how you can take your first steps to contribute to cloud native and CNCF projects. So a little bit about myself. I am the community manager for the Litmus Kiosk project. It's one of the CNCF projects. It's in Sandbox, and we'll move into incubation. What is Sandbox incubation and graduation? We'll talk about it. And I started off my journey at Maya Data from KIIT itself. I got a job back when I was in third year, and then it's still continuing. I joined ChaosNative, which is a spin-off from Maya Data, and I'm also working as a co-organizer for Chaos Carnival, Kubernetes Chaos Engineering Meetup, which is part of the CNCF space, and Kubernetes Community Days, Bengaluru 2021. I just worked as a co-organizer for that. So, I mean, there is a lot of opportunity if you talk about Kubernetes Community Days. That is one of the biggest events that happens in each country, or, in terms of the Kubernetes space. There are a lot of people who, end up taking up courses based on Docker, Kubernetes, or Ansible, Jenkins. And I think there's one of these guys, I forgot his name. I think it was Vimal Daga or someone. He is one of the guys who's doing a great job in providing these courses to you all. So I think, talking about these courses or what exactly these courses do, I think they help you understand what is, there in terms of cloud in the cloud native space, and how you can learn new technologies and just not focus on one side of things. And then secondly, when you come into the contribution side or in the field, there are a lot of opportunities for you out there. So you can come in, contribute, and do a lot of stuff. So that is about me. And back when I was in college, I was just like you all, part of a few societies and did a lot of stuff. But I think that will be helpful for you to come into this space and learn more. Let's not talk about that more. So in agenda, what we'll be talking about today is what is cloud native, what is the CNCF space or ecosystem. I'll take you through the CNCF landscape and what all or where all you can contribute to. I'll also talk about the CNCF community, because community is the most important thing. That is where you learn. And then I'll talk about the role of Slack. How does Slack as a, we all know about Discord, but a lot of people don't know about Slack. So I'll be talking about what exactly Slack is and how Slack plays a important role in you getting started with your contributions, and then eventually we'll just go through contributing, and then I'll also take you through my project if you can contribute to that. So let's get started. What's the definition? I mean, I'm not someone who's a reader or who'll be reading it out, but basically you understand that today we are shifting towards the cloud computing model, or there were monolithic architectures or architectures which were hosted on your local systems, or which there was no potential for a cloud native based system or a cloud based system to come in. And then came cloud computing and a cloud delivery model, where everything that your applications, your systems, your infrastructures, everything, your data, simple data, Google Drive or anything that was hosted, that can be hosted on a cloud. You don't have to host it on your systems, because obviously large systems, big systems, and there's problem of space management, scalability, all these things were an issue. And that is where cloud came into play, and cloud native came and became an approach. It's not a it's not a technology. Basically, it's not something which is tangible, but rather I would say it's an approach. It's an approach which led to transformation. It's something which is why modern applications are being developed. Each and every application. I'll give you examples. Okay, let's say Uber. Grofers, Big Basket, Amazon, all these e-commerce giants, or even banking sectors, HSBC, Standard Chartered, let's say SBI, your Indian bank. So these sectors are shifting towards developing their applications or hosting their services on platforms which require transformation, which can be done easily, which are scalable, which are agile in nature, which can be deployed anywhere, and they are available on your platforms whenever you want. So that is where the switch came, and this approach of building and running applications that exploit the advantages of cloud computing or advantages of the cloud system is what the cloud native approach is. And then cloud native is more about how your applications are created, how your applications are deployed, how your applications are maintained, monitored, and they can be done on a public or a private cloud, on a multi-cloud or a hybrid cloud environment. And then one more thing is that cloud native is not about hosting it. According to me, cloud native is about open source. Cloud native has to be hosted on an open source and has to be community collaborated. So you need to understand that what is open source. I mean, in a layman's terms, open source is anything whose code is available for the community to view, whose code is available for the community to contribute to. And if the community contributes to it, the overall code, or the overall, basically the overall software or the model which is out there, is community collaborated. So if you are versed with software engineering, or if you are versed with what exactly is what exactly are use cases. Use cases are nothing but a particular softwares, or a particular like, what, for example, there's Amazon wanting to sell some products, and they have a particular use case. A use case is nothing but how do they sell the products, or what exactly is the model, or you know what exactly is the workflow of how the process of start the beginning of the process and the end of the process functions, and in what way it functions. So that is what a use case is. And these various use case makes a project or a product develop. Because when you are developing a product, let's say Firefox, that's open source, right? Or let's say Kubernetes itself, so it should cater to the requirements of each and every model, each and every enterprise. So for example, you want to run a company which is based on selling clothes. That's it, it's a fashion brand. And then you want to run applications, and you want to run a website. So how do you scale this? What happens when there's a spike of users? There are a lot of users that are coming in. There are a lot of people who want to do a lot of functionalities, purchase, buy, sell. So all these things, I think managing them is very important, as you know. And that is where cloud native technologies come in to provide huge improvements in developer productivity, business agility, scalability, availability, utilization, and cost savings. I mean, since the cloud native switch came into play, Google has saved billions, and similarly, HBO, Amazon, Disney, all these folks. I mean, today, if you talk about the new applications that are coming in, Dream 11, MPL, they are shifting. Lenscard, they are shifting to the cloud native approach and saving millions and billions in their own way. So how CNCF defines cloud native? I mean, CNCF just believes that cloud native is something which empowers organizations. And as I mentioned, obviously environments are dynamic today. There's a possibility of an outage. Outage means your system going down. Or there are possibilities of data leaks, cybersecurity risks, and hosting them, basically data and managing all of them, resiliency. We can talk about what are the issues, but if I have to talk about a few issues, then their reliability, their cultural change. The cultural change is very important. If you know about how systems are hosted today, then people are very reluctant to move to the cloud native environment, or they are like, it might take a lot of cost, they might have to spend a lot. But people need to understand that today's expenditure will tomorrow actually be cost savvy, or saving the cost. So I think, I mean, I want, these terms are very pretty far from students, and I don't think they need to focus on it. But I think whenever you go for anything, just make sure you understand what resiliency is, what observability is, what management is, and how containerization or containers are evolving this space. So this is the evolution, as you can see. So there were traditional deployments or traditional environments where an app was hosted on an operating system, which was, again, there was a hardware, there was an operating system, and your applications were hosted. Mostly a single application was hosted on a traditional deployment. And then we moved on to virtualization, where there was a hypervisor which acted over the operating system, so that virtual machines could run your application. Then there could be multiple applications running in your operating system, not just one application. And then now we have moved to container deployment. I won't say that virtualization has stopped. Virtualization is obviously out there, and deployments are already there. But then there was containerization, where there was a container runtime, which for example is Docker, and it hosted millions of services altogether, and there were libraries which used help run these containers, small containers. And that is how container deployment basically helped us scale the deployments and run these systems pretty faster. This is how this these deployments evolved, or they have evolved over the time. So, and when we'll talk about how CNCF came in, and let's not go into the depth of containerization. I think there are a lot of talks available out there on YouTube which are helpful. But what is CNCF, or the Cloud Native Computing Foundation? So it's nothing but an open source foundation or a platform which serves as a home to all these open source technologies, which including Kubernetes, Prometheus, in Envoy, and there are a lot of projects. Litmus is one of them. But it's a foundation which helps the project go. It shows the direction. It brings the community together. It brings the vendors together, the end users together, and then it also brings the project maintainers, collaborators, students, developers. Everyone comes, joins this foundation or this community, and it's a non-profit community, of course. And you help build global technology infrastructure. This is the future, if not the present. If in the present people are not adopting it, this is the future of tech. And this is how global technology is going to be driven. Apple is a part of it as an end user, and slowly everyone. Google started off Kubernetes and then donated it to the Cloud Native Foundation, and that is how Cloud Native Computing Foundation came into place. So Google has played a huge role in developing this, and this is now part of the Linux Foundation. But this serves as a platform for you all to come in and join and contribute and learn a lot. So before we move on to contributing now, we'll move on to the next item in the agenda, and that is the CNCF landscape, or what exactly the CNCF landscape is. So you can see there are 945 cards which are out there, and these are the projects which make up the CNCF landscape. And I won't go through each and every project that is out there, but as you can see, this is what the CNCF landscape hosts. So this is where you can understand where all you can contribute to, and what are the projects that are out there. So as you can see, the landscape holds projects that are based on database, projects that are based on streaming and messaging, projects that are based on application definition and image build. Then there is CI/CD. A sec. As you can see, there's CI/CD, then they're platform based, and AWS is one of them. And then there are serverless based. There are members who are part of the CNCF Foundation. They are based on observability. When you talk about observability, it's all about seeing what is happening. Let's say you are trying to run an application. You want to check out how it's being run, what is exactly happening, when is the application going down, what are the services that are running. So that is where monitoring, logging, tracing, all these come into play, and even chaos engineering becomes or plays a vital role out there, the technology that I'm working on. So as you can see, these are projects and companies that are part of this space, that are in this landscape, and they are making this world run. And that is where you come in to contribute, or grab a job. Perhaps you can check out applications in the CNCF job space. But this is the overall landscape where you have to contribute to eventually. So let's get started with projects and how it functions. Okay, so as you can see, this is the landscape which holds graduated and sandbox projects. But I'll start off with let's say sandbox projects. So sandbox projects are entry level projects. Let's say you are building a project, you are doing something in the open source space which has something to do with cloud native technologies or Kubernetes itself. So you apply to the sandbox space. So when you apply to the sandbox space, if your project is accepted, if it there are certain criterias, you have to match criterias, you have to have users. And once your project is having that amount of usage and matches the criteria, it enters the CNCF sandbox level, where CNCF notifies it as their project, as in you donate the project to the CNCF or the foundation, and they host the project and it is out there. So I'll just take an example of the project I'm working on, Litmus. As you can see, I hope people out here have some knowledge of GitHub and open source and how to contribute to it. But as you can see, this is a project which is hosted on GitHub. Okay, there's a GitHub link out there, and there are various, if you see, this is the main repo, and then there's the sub main repo, but it has various other repos. There's a Helm chart and other places where you can contribute to. So now you go to the main repo, and the README defines the project, what exactly it does, the workflow, and there are videos, tutorials, and a community out there. That is how the CNCF functions. So each project has their own community. They have a particular functionality. It can be based on observability, it can be based on certification and a lot of things, and they are built on a certain language. Let's say this is written in TypeScript, that is the front end, but the back end is based on Go. And similarly, there are backends based on Python, Ansible, or C++. Even C, I think there's C out there. So if you have knowledge on any of these languages, if you are well versed with any front end languages, let's say TypeScript, or let's say JavaScript, or Gatsby, Next, there are so many languages, HTML, CSS, Bootstrap. And then on the backend side, if you are good with Go, mostly Go, because I see a lot of CNCF projects are written in Go. But if you have knowledge on any of it, Go, Python, then you can contribute. There's a possibility to contribute. Okay, so as you can see, this is the like overview of the project, and then you can see how the community has come in. And then there are adopters can be in the form of vendors, enterprises, or they can be open source users or anyone, and it's a part of the CNCF space. Now how you can contribute to is by checking the issues. I'm not going to the overall contribution side because there's a lot to learn, but you need to check the issues that are out there. And if let's say there is an issue that you can contribute to, mostly it is listed as a good first issue, so you'll be checking the labels. Okay, and let's say you go to the label section and you check out. Give me a sec. So there's this label called a good first issue. Okay, so these labels are this, these are the issues which are listed as good first issues, and these are issues which can be done as a first contribution. If you're just getting started, then you can get started and learn from these. This is the best, possibly the best way to contribute or get started to contribute. And then there's Hacktoberfest. I won't go in deep into Hacktoberfest or what exactly Hacktoberfest is, but as you can see, Hacktoberfest there's a label out there, and it's an event which usually happens every year in the month of October. It goes out for the whole month, and that is where you can contribute to open source or open source projects, or basically cloud native projects, and a lot of CNCF projects take part in it. So you can identify these tags and you can contribute in any way. It can be a code contribution or a non-code contribution too. I'll point out to a few resources if that helps. But the non-code contributions are in terms of blogs, in terms of documentation improvements. Documentation is key, very important. So as you can see, perhaps if I'll take you to a documentation post this, you'll see how minute issues are out there which can be contributed to or which can be fixed. There's vocabulary that you can contribute to. That's a basic contribution, but that has a huge role to play, by the way. So so these are a few contributions that you can make, and you can get started with. And I'll just give you a very small overview. I'm taking an example of the Litmus Kiosk project because that is what I am associated to. But all the projects that are out there, I'll recommend a few. Let's say Prometheus, Linkerd, and then there's Envoy, there's Service Mesh, there's Convoyer, or there is Kyverno. There are a lot of projects, as you can see in this landscape. All these projects, Captain, Keylime. So as you can see, these are the projects that you should start contributing to, because they are still, once you contribute to them, there's a possibility that these projects or the maintainers out there can, give you an internship. You'll get an internship directly. That yes, we like your contributions. You can be an intern there, or you can be a maintainer. You can be a maintainer of the project. I'll give you an example, that there's a student from, let's say, an NIT or somewhere, and they have become, maintainers to the project. And I certainly believe, see, honestly, I believe that a student from KIIT can also be a maintainer to a project. There are maintainers. In our company itself, there are a lot of students from KIIT, and they have become maintainers to this project. But through various means, internship programs and GSOC, I'm not sure if everyone knows about Google Summer of Code, but through that as well, people are getting into these projects, contributing to it, and becoming maintainers. I'll go back to that later. So as you can see, this is the documentation which talks about how you can run the project and how is it helpful. But this is where you can contribute to. Either you can run this project yourself, or you can just oversee that how it is being put out and compare it to different documentations. The Kubernetes documentation is the best out there, so you can compare the documentation of the Kubernetes project, and there are various projects you can, let's just search Kubernetes docs. Okay. And this is the documentation of Kubernetes. Kubernetes is a project which is very famous. And you can see that there are various things out there. There's training, there's setting up a cluster, there are reference information, and then you compare. Okay, you just compare these this documentation of a CNCF project, and you check out that how you can contribute to it. Is there a difference? What else needs to be added? I think there's a training section that needs to be added. That's from my first outlook. So that is what you contribute to. You create a training. You suggest that in the community. So we'll go to that when we talk about the role of Slack. There's once we finish the community, we move on to the role of Slack. That is where we'll be talking about it. But that is the contribution that you can do. So moving on to the community, that is the major part, or that is the main thing. So this is the link, community.cncf.io. I'll put out all the links once my talk finishes. So this is where you actually check out what are the communities that are out there. Okay, these are the community I am part of. But you can see, you can explore by region, you can explore by projects. As you can see, there are projects which have created their community. There are virtual projects that are happening. As you can see, this is the best community for you, the Cloud-Native students. I'm going to deliver a talk here in a couple of hours. But as you can see, they host talks often, and they are student based. They talk about what exactly students can learn from or do. So there are events happening every week, every other day, that you can follow them on the YouTube channel, which are based on students. Basically, that is how you learn. That is how you get your hands on to these technologies. And then, there is a complete community that is out there. There are various, every state has their community, every city has their community. So let's come to Asia. You can see how many communities are out there in India. There's a community for Bhubaneswar itself. We took part there a few months ago. And then there's a community for, let's say, just give me a sec. Bangalore, I think that's the most famous community out there in India. Bangalore is seen, as people say, for technologies. But there are so many communities out there that you can join their meetups, and you can find them on meetup.com. That is the place where most of them are hosted, but you can find them here itself. Like, just go to community.cncf.io, just check out what are the meetups that are happening. So as you can see, Bangalore, there are so many meetups that are happening. There's this Bangalore CNCF meetup. And what are the upcoming events? These were physical events, but in person, I would say, and then there are events which are happening virtually as well. So keeping a track of these things is what is very important, and that is how you can learn. That is, the more you watch, the more you take part in these things, the more you are able to learn, the more you are able to figure out how to contribute to a particular project or to the CNCF space. So, I mean, as you can see, these are the various factions that have happened: security, and then there is, a Kubernetes forum. There's an overview. There are data and container. There's a Docker con that happened. So these are the things. And from where to get started, as I mentioned, I mean, once I go to contributing, I'll mention more. But it's from meetups. You need to check out podcasts. You need to join meetups, and YouTube is a very helpful space. The CNCF YouTube channel or the CNCF videos that are out there are very helpful. And more than that, there's a lot of support for the students, honestly, and that is where KubeCon comes into play. So KubeCon happens, I think, thrice in a year. It's location based, so it happens in Europe. The next one is happening in North America from October 11th to 15th, and that is where students get the opportunity to learn a lot. Okay, every project comes out. They talk about their own project. There are a lot of talks. There are beginner level talks, and there are talks based on every project, how you can contribute, the culture, and it's amazing, to be honest. And there are events which you can join at no additional cost. Okay, as you can see, these are some pictures, or these are some memories students have had, and there are a lot of people who are joining as in sponsors. All this is not important, but as you can see, who should attend? When it's asked who should attend, then everyone. It's like everyone should be a part of it, from all these people to those who are looking to learn more about cloud native. That these are the students, right? And that is where CNCF provides a lot of discounts to students. You can avail free passes. If you are selected or eligible, students get discounted passes, and they can join in. They can be a part of the Slack, and they can learn from seniors. I mean, people from VMware, people from Dell, people from Red Hat. All these companies, I think these are very vital to help you learn or get started. Very, very basic contributions. So that is where that is the overall ecosystem, or that is how you can learn and join in. And next up, I'll talking about the most important thing, that is Slack. That is how people get started. Okay, so I'll take you through Slack. This is my Slack. I mean, there are so many workspaces that are out there, as you can see, but I'll focus on two workspaces, or let's say three workspaces. These three workspaces are Kubernetes. You can join them using. I'll take you through the link as well. So if you want to join the Kubernetes Slack, so you can just type in slack.kts.io, and you can enter your email ID here, or you can enter whatever is available with you in terms, Google. You can log in with Google, Facebook, or something, and you can get your invite, and you can join this Slack. Or there is slack.cncf.io, and these are the two major spaces where you have to join. You must join this. Okay, so join the Cloud Native Computing Foundation on Slack. So download Slack and join these two communities. That is where all the chat happens. And here you can see there are various channels that are out there. So in terms of India, just giving you an example of India, so there's an in dev channel. Okay, and these are the as you can see, I'll just highlight this one. Hey people, this is Pritesh, a junior year student from NIT Rourkela. These are my technical capabilities, and I have been learning this. I am interested in concepts of containerization, Docker, KTS. This is my portfolio. You can create a portfolio of your own, and I want to contribute. All right. So this is one of them. Okay, this is one of them. And then there are so many people. Okay, hey everyone, this is Santosh Kumar, an undergrad from Silicon Institute of Technology, Bhubaneswar, right? And then, hey new folks from the NIT Rourkela workshop, please feel free to introduce yourself. So that is how I request you all to join this Slack, and I'll share the link again. You join this Slack, you join this in-depth channel. Okay, no one is a sir or a ma'am out here. there are so many people who are out here. This guy Dims, he's such a senior person. He's a senior staff engineer at VMware, but they are so welcoming. Everyone is so welcoming that you get an opportunity to learn, from students that are out here. These are the students which help you, which join you, and which contribute alongside you. And there are good first issues that are put out here. And similarly, this guy, as you can see, Madhav Jivrajni, he is a student from PES University Bangalore, and he has been contributing so much that he's out there in the community. So these are the people who work out as inspirations. And similarly, there are so many channels out there that you can join. There's this in events, or let's say events channel, where you get to understand the events that are happening out there. What is exactly happening? Who are the speakers? What can I join? Where can I learn? And similarly, there are certifications that are available. That you can ask your questions, whatever you have. So this is the platform to learn. And similarly, there's the CNCF channel, as I talked about, contributing to CNCF, where there is something particular to the students. So there is an academia channel, as you can see, and students come out here, and the research institutions are exploring these technologies. Colleges, they are a part of it. And similarly, there's a students channel where students come in and helping students join, grow, learn, contribute. So that is how huge a role Slack plays in contributing, or Slack comes in. And similarly, I'll talk about this last Slack community, that is DOK. And there's a beginner questions channel where there are a lot of beginners who come in and who talk about beginner level questions and the internships. So there was a very quick question that I asked out, that is, anyone out in the community contributing to any CSCF projects yet, or interested to? All right. And this was the response, that everyone is interested to learn. And this guy, he's a student, but he's already one of the maintainers of this project called Porter. And these are the students who are deeply interested and have been contributing in some way or the other, and are joining these Slack communities. They want to contribute to CNCF. And then you can see there's a scholarship form out there for KubeCon to attend for free and learn CNCF projects. So that is how you can get started. I think I have spoken a lot about how these things function, and what is the way to get started. Read the documentation, get started with a few blogs, interact with the maintainers and the contributors by joining them on Slack. These two are the Slack workspaces that you have to join, CNCF and Kubernetes. This is where everything is happening. And join these talks. Cloud Native students, YouTube is a place to learn. So I mean, I can help individually. People can reach out to me if they want to learn about any project or want to contribute to a specific project, let's say Litmus, and then you guys can join in and contribute, get started contributing. So that was about everything. And then lastly, there's a certified Kubernetes administrator, or CK, examination which happens. This is a certification. If you join KubeCon, then you get it for a 50% off. And there are a lot of events which help you get this certificate, or help you get the registration for the certification for free. And then you need to, obviously, there's a long process to learn Kubernetes, to get started, and then becoming a certified Kubernetes administrator. As you know, there is AWS certification. Similarly, there's a CK exam or a CKAD exam. And once you get started with these exams and become certified, I think that will help your CV a lot. You'll be like, at a different level altogether. People will be dying to actually take you in their companies. And I don't want to flex out here or lie out here, but I'll tell you, being a part of this CNCF space, I have got so many job offers, or so many people have approached me to join them, or their cloud native technology or product that they are working on, that I have felt overwhelmed personally, that this is the space which is the future. So I think I have spoken a lot. And lastly, I'll just be talking about contributing a little bit. I have already mentioned how you can contribute, but let's just take a look. So getting started with contributions, as you can see, Again, this is an example of a repo, OpenEBS, and what are the issues that are out here. But these are basically the languages or the places that you can contribute to. So there's user documentation, there are developer docs, you can contribute to examples or training, you can contribute if you are well versed with Go, Rust, you can contribute to their websites as well. You can compare various CNCF project websites and you can just suggest some changes. Python, Shell, Script, C++, Makefiles, Multi-Arc, Helm. These are the various places where you can contribute to and you can get started with your contributions. And there are many more good first issues, as I mentioned. And then just lastly, talking about the project, it was founded in 2018 to actually, uh, test another open source project or a cloud native project. And now, I mean, it has moved so far that there are contributors from Intuit, Amazon, Red Hat, Container Solutions. And this is a mission statement. This defines one of the cloud native technologies that are out there, that is chaos engineering. And similarly, there is so much that one can contribute to. So as you can see, there's the code you can contribute to, docs, there's beta docs which get you started, and Slack. All this is mentioned by me already. And these are the resources out here. Also, start getting active on LinkedIn and Twitter. These are the two social media platforms that are pretty active in terms of cloud native technologies, or you get to learn. Don't forget to follow folks like Kelsey Hightower or Liz Rice or Katie Gamanshi, Priyanka Sharma, Rich Burrows, Dan Pop. I think these are people I learn from. So I want to mention or give a shout out to them and ask you all to follow them. But yeah, this is about it. And thank you so much for inviting me. I need a water break perhaps, but it was an amazing session. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Like there are many questions that are coming in our comment section.
All right, sure. I'll answer them one by one. I'll stop sharing and
Yeah. If
I'll
you can
answer
just go
them.
to the comments tab, you'll be able to see all of them.
All right. Okay. Okay. So there are so many questions. I can see. Hello, Prithvi sir. I'm not a sir, by the way. You can call me Prithvi. How to crack an internship at my data? That's the first question. So I mean, it's my data. I'm not really aware of. I'm not part of my data anymore. But similarly, you can crack internships. So you don't have to just crack internships at my data, but there are a lot of companies which are out there which help you with internships. Okay, so I'll take you through internships. I think I forgot sharing that part of it. So but I'll move to that later on. Let me check a few more questions. Can you tell me what is CNCF? As I mentioned, I mean, I think I have mentioned about CNCF already. Where do you use this tech? So CNCF technologies, Metin, are used everywhere or anywhere that you use them. I mean, if you use them for your application development, you can use CNCF technologies, or you can if you just want to test something, you want to bring something up, you have a college project that you have to do, that is where you can see that is where CNCF is needed. Or these technology, why is CNCF needed, or where CNCF is needed is you know anywhere. It's for everyone. It's for someone who's a CEO of a company who wants to adopt something, and it's for a student itself who wants to learn, who wants to contribute to a new technology, who wants to build a project, who wants to make a new project. Even students out there are contributing so much. So obviously you use that tech there. So why is CNCF needed? It's needed for the ecosystem to develop, for more and more people to come in, contribute, learn, and adopt and develop the next gen applications. Basically, I am Aditya is asking, I'm currently doing with front end, how could I contribute to open source? As I think I answered that, Aditya. You can contribute to their websites, you can contribute to their front end part of their applications or technologies, their UI, basically what they're doing in their UI. So you can contribute to them, and once you are well versed with, I think, TypeScript, JavaScript, whatever they are using, then it gets pretty easy for you to contribute to it. Check their code and find their flaws. I think interacting with with the maintainers is very good. Once you interact with their maintainers, it becomes pretty easy to understand where you can land in to contribute. The next question, CNCF and each of its projects have their own website. What is the relationship and why multiple sites? Okay, CNCF is a foundation. Okay, CNCF is has nothing to do with the other websites. CNCF has its own website. It's a foundation which all these projects are part of. And then, CNCF is running as a non-profit organization where it is inviting folks to become speakers, contributors, to join talks, to learn, to contribute, to adopt, all these things. And each project is actually, initially I'll tell you how it functions. So for example, I am a company, I am Google, and I have started building an open source project where people can come in and contribute to people. I mean, as you I don't know how many people of you are aware of cryptos, or how the cryptocurrency world functions, but you might be knowing cryptos such as Ethereum, or I mean, Matic network, Polymath. All these cryptocurrencies are hosted and are open source. Not the currency exactly, but the idea, the logic behind it is open source. So all of them are hosted on GitHub. So let's say there is a company which decides to create a project on GitHub, and they want to just contribute to it, and they want contributions from outside. Okay, so that is a project. Okay, but what happens is they donate it to the CNCF. So what they do is they give it to a platform where they can gain more traction, they can gain more people who contribute to it, and there's a support from CNCF where they can join CNCF based conferences and talk about it, and they can get contributors, they can collaborate, integrate with other projects. So that is where CNCF comes into play. So each project is initially found by someone. So I'll just give an example, perhaps share my screen once again. So I hope my screen is visible. So as you can see, for example, Linkerd, okay. So this is the Linkerd project, and you can see that this is a project which is adopted by so many people, and it has so many members, and it's another CNCF project. But then you can see that Linkerd was originally created by Buoyant Inc. So Buoyant Inc. is the company which found that project, but then they donated it to the CNCF. So perhaps Buoyant Inc. is contributing on running this website, or is helping run this website, but it's part of the CNCF. Buoyant Inc. doesn't own it, so any company can come in and contribute to it. Let's say it can be Red Hat, or any company, VMware, Google. They can want, if they want, they can contribute to Linkerd, but it isn't owned by anyone. It's owned by the CNCF Foundation. So I think that is about that. And how should you start with it? As I mentioned, start with the docs, start with the GitHub repos, join the Slack. So once you join the Slack, you get to learn more. Aditya says, I contribute to Meshery right now. Open source is much better than doing any small internships that pay peanuts. Of course, I mean, open source, once you start contributing to it, and it's all about developing your portfolio, right? I mean, as students, you want your CV or portfolio to look amazing. So once you start contributing to it, you just mention on your CV that I've contributed to this project, or I've been part of a GSOC or an LFX or an outreachy program, and then you are, I mean, up there. I'm willing to take part in GSOC 2022. For that, I just started contributing blindfolded. It's just been a month, but it doesn't seem to take me anywhere. So can you please suggest some strategies? Sure. And I'll suggest some strategies when I go to GSOC and LFX. How to move from monolithic app development to cloud-native app development? I mean, see, Shubayan, monolithic app development to cloud-native development is already moving. I mean, I don't think you as an organization is running anything, but it's building a culture, it's formulating, it has a lot of software engineering practices where you understand what are your cost measures and how you can move to it, how that change can come into play, and there has to be some amount of understanding of the change in the mindset, and how microservices or cloud native applications are working. And I don't think monolithic app development is something people are involved in yet, but in case they are, then I think it's just about change in mindset and understanding the cost that is to be applied to it, and then I think slowly the change should be slow but gradual. If someone has lost money in Dogecoin, I'm really sorry for you, Martin. What is the goal of building a cloud native application? The goal, as I mentioned, is running and scaling, and achieving agility and achieving scalability and running them faster, avoiding making systems resilient. So cloud native applications help with all these things, and then they are next in, as I mentioned. So basically they make the work easier, they reduce the cost, they help ease in development. There are contributions from external folks. So once there are contributions from external folks, then obviously you can easily get better ideas and better learnings. Okay, I think these are more or less the questions. KubeCon is happening virtual. Yeah, KubeCon has been happening virtual since a couple of years, so you need to take a look at KubeCon and join these sessions. Take a look at their YouTube channel. I'll be sharing the links once once I answer. What are the prerequisites to start? As I mentioned, join the Slack, take a look at their documentation, talk to their maintainers, and be a part of such programs. Keep following talks on YouTube, and then keep following what are the developments happening in the space on Twitter and all the other social media platforms. What are the key criteria influencing the choice of a cloud platform? I mean, I don't think this is based on cloud native technologies really, but I'll still talk about it. So what are the key criteria that influence the choice of a cloud platform? Then obviously there are various factors. I mean, there's a cost factor, there's the feasibility, there's usability. I mean, the cloud platforms that are basically out there are Azure, AWS and GCP mostly, and then there are other cloud platforms as well. Let's say we are working on a platform called you know uh, what do you call it, Civo Cloud. So obviously there's Civo Cloud which is out there, and the cost factor, I think that is very important, and what are the functionalities, what exactly the app store has to provide to you, and what are the functionalities that are out there that are available. Let's say, does the application store provide you an ease in app development, or basically hosting your services, and then how easy it is for you to use, and how does it function with your previous architecture. Let's say you are shifting to a cloud based architecture. So that is where you need to understand how important that architecture is, or how easily you can shift to it. So I think with this, I've answered most of the questions. Now I'll just take you through the internship programs. That is one thing, and then I'll share some links and how should I reach to you. I'll share that as well. So sharing my screen for one last time. Yeah, as you can see, perhaps these are the three programs I'll be talking about. One is provided by CNCF, that is the Lfx Mentorship program by the Linux Foundation basically, but the CNCF projects are involved there. And then there is GSOG, where CNCF takes part, and then there's the Outreachy program. So these are the three major internships in the open source of the cloud native space. So let's get started with the Lfx Mentorship. So it was previously known as the Cloud Community Bridge program, and it's funded by the Lfx, Linux Foundation. And there's a handsome amount of money that you get. Certifications don't matter, but the stipends that you get is amazing. So there are various cycles which usually happen in quarter, or spring and summer are the major times where it happened, and there are applications which are put out there. There are mentees and mentors. The mentors are project maintainers or project contributors usually, who mentor you, and then there are mentees, which are basically the students which can take part in it. So how to apply? There are projects out there. As I mentioned, the projects put out a problem statement or an issue that you can resolve, or basically you can work on as an intern. So there is a mentor which the project selects, and the mentee is basically selected by the mentor or the ones who are involved with the project once they put out your application. So your application involves your CV and your there are eligibility criteria. So you need to check out the full documentation of it. So you have to be 18 years above, and yeah, you not be an active participant in any other mentorship program, and you check all this eligibility. And then once you are selected, after that eligibility, if the mentors basically conduct interviews, or they basically take a look at your prowess and how easily or what kind of a solution that you are able to provide to the problem statement that is out there. And then you are selected as a mentee. And then there are various stages to it. There's stage one, stage two. And I think if you write blogs or if you're active in the community, it gets pretty easier for you to get selected. If in spite of you having knowledge, if you feel that you can be rejected, then this adds as an add-on. So then there's Google Summer of Code. As you all know, Google, I mean, every year it puts out projects, and there's, I mean, so many projects that are out there that require mentees, and that require students to come in and contribute and pay handsome stipends to them. So you can contribute to CNCF projects through Google Summer of Code as well. And you can just check out the documentation and who are the mentors, who are the mentees, and you can learn from their experiences. And then there are outreachy programs which pay approximately $6,000 as a internship stipend. They're remote in nature, you don't have to go anywhere, and every year they happen in the month of May. And it's a 3-month internship which runs from May to August or December to March, where you basically become an outreachy applicant, and you work under these mentors and learn a lot about projects. It can be CNCF projects or cloud native projects as well. So these basically are the 3 projects. And as you can see, CNCF is an includer, so where you can contribute, and that's how it's done. These are the 3 internship programs that you get and you can get started with. But I think this should come at a later stage, once you get versed with at least 1 or 2 projects. I think one of them mentioned he works with Meshery. So similarly, if you get well versed with a few projects and then move on to contributing to the open source part of it, then that will be better for you. So with this, I hope with this answers a lot of things. I'll perhaps, I don't know, I'm not able to chat here. I'm not able to share the links here, but I'll be sharing the links in the private chat with the hosts, and they can share the links one by one with you all. So I hope that is something that the organizers can do, right? Or the hosts. So yeah, I'm posting the links. I heard that outreach is not for everyone. Can you please explain that? See, outreachy is it's not that it isn't for everyone. Okay, I mean there has to be some amount of there are certain policies that they have, and I mean there's an applicant guide that they have. So they focus on I mean a lot of things. I think the eligibility criteria is focusing on mostly women. That's one thing. And then they are also focusing on transgenders and people of color and who have been disadvantaged. So that it's the idea is basically to reach out to people who have not contributed to programs. So I think if you are a woman, then outreach is mostly for you. But I think you can still apply, and you can see how do you fit in, and if it's a program for you or not. So
There's a question by Paulo also that
I
where
think
I can read more about it, and he wants if you can share the links too on that.
Yeah, he will share the link with us, and then we can do submit it.
issue is created if someone has a flaw in their code. Most people who write main code are experienced. Can I possibly contribute to open source or resolve an issue? Yeah, of course you can. As an inexperienced kid, as I mentioned, that you can contribute to anything. I mean, as I said, as an inexperienced kid, you need to get started with the documentation. You need to learn what exactly is out there for an inexperienced person to contribute to. And then, even if you there, as I said, there are lot of non-coding contributions that can be done. So you just need to figure out what are the non-coding contributions that you can make to these projects. I'll share a video. I think that will be helpful for you to understand what are the non-coding contributions you can make to, let's say, Kubernetes, or I mean, these technologies. But before that, I hope you are receiving the links. One of them is, these are for the mentorships. And then I'll share the Slack links. So Slack links are pretty important, and make sure you join the Litmus channel. That is where you can stay connected to me. So that is, I think, one of the major ways to stay connected. But you can also, I mean, connect with me on LinkedIn, I think, in that case. So that'll be helpful too. So this is the way you can join the Slack, the KIIT Slack. And to join the CNCF Slack, please follow the other steps. Just give me a sec. Yeah. So I have posted the link to all the Slacks, and this is slack.cncf.io is the last link. I don't think it's put out as a link, so I'll put it out again. Yeah. So these are the ways you can actually done in. And yeah, will non-coding contributions matter? Of course they'll matter a lot. I think, it's being part of the community. When you contribute to an open source project itself, the open source project gives back to you. So I would, as a community lead of a project, I would say you join my community, you contribute a blog to it, and I'll put it out everywhere that's possible. And you will get the opportunity to join in, to talk about the project, to I think, even if there's theoretical knowledge that's available out there where you can learn about the project, and you can, just talk about it somewhere, you have the opportunity to be the part of a community and do wonders. So obviously non-coding contributions, as I mentioned, non-coding contributions involved documentation, website, and all these things, tutorials, and a lot of stuff, readme. That's mostly on the non-coding part. Or maybe you can contribute to the UI UX of the project as well. So yeah. So I've posted most of the links. I'm unable to
Yeah,
find
we have shared them in the chats, and we'll add them in the description also, so others can use it from there.
that's all right. I hope these were the questions. In case there are any other questions, please let me know. I'll be happy to answer them.
I think there's another question which I'll be highlighting on the screen. Please.
When taking my internships, would these contributions matter? As I said, this helps you develop your CV. So once your CV is mentions your contributions to cloud native projects, and you just need to formulate them in a particular way where it comes out that you have contributed in an amazing way, or you have some knowledge of what is exactly happening in the CNCF world. And I am sure that a lot of folks who are DevOps engineers, who are cloud native engineers, or who are solution architects working in the cloud native space, they surely understand the value of this. So I'm not sure if an HR of a company or an internship is well versed with it, but rest everyone understands the value of this. It's certainly gives you a lot of value for sure.
Okay, so there is another question. What language should we learn to start contributing? So basically, there isn't any language that you can learn in specific and then start contributing. In which project do you want to contribute, that matters. If it's written in TypeScript, then you have to learn TypeScript a bit. If it's written in JavaScript, then you have to learn Java. If it's in Flask or Django backend, then you have to learn those languages. So basically, project matters, and the skill that you have there, those matters.
Mhm. Indeed. Lastly, I also shared a link for which takes you to a video for non-coding contributions. This is mostly to Kubernetes, but I think this talks a lot about how you can contribute. If you contribute to Kubernetes, then you can contribute to open source projects as well. What could be the possible roadmap to know? What could be a possible roadmap to know two basics of CNCF for someone who just knows basic Merge stack? I mean, as I said, join the Slack and interact with people. They also know Merge stack and they have been contributing. So knowing to know basics of CNCF, the resources that are out there on GitHub and the documentation and the website is enough. And it talks a lot about how students can contribute. And pick up a project if you want. If you feel that this is the project I want to contribute to, check out the language it is written in, as Animesh mentioned. And once you check out the language it is written in, and if you're well versed with that language, then you can slowly get into contributing to it and interact with their maintainers. Pick up an issue or try to find out an issue, try to find out something that you can contribute to in the project. Understand how something which is already there is how it is written. So I think that'll help you a lot. How big is the community? The community is huge, Martin. I mean, there are 50,000 plus folks. I think Kubernetes Slack has 150,000 plus folks, but it's bigger than just Slack. It's everywhere out there. If you are stuck at some place, you can go out into a few channels. It's the student channel, it's channel of a particular project. If you're contributing to a particular project, check out their website and join their Slack community, which is usually in the CNCF or Slack Kubernetes workspace, and you ask them. And if you want some help, then you go out in the random channel of the CNCF Slack, and you ask your question, and the necessary people will redirect you to the correct space.
So for those people who are asking how big is community, if we are stuck, then there is a special community for all that. It's EDHub. I will just add it in the description, and it's a place where people from all of the backgrounds, whether it's front end, back end, whether it's coding, competitive, they all are there present. And in fact, Eddie himself is mostly online. So if anyone has any issue, you can post it there in the help channel, and they will respond ASAP. And the Kunal, who is a CNFCF mentor, is also present there. He also helps us at every time possible.
Kunal Kushwaha, right?
Yeah, Kunal Kushwa.
Yeah. So I think you can obviously Kunal Kushwaha is a good friend, and he's been doing amazing work. So Code for Cause, I think these
Yeah,
channels
Code for
and
Cause. So we have many community partners there also. Like Khushi is a community partner, Kunal is a community partner. Then we have multiple MVP, we should say. They are our community partners, and they help us out every time. Right now, also, they have initiated some more advanced things. Uh, I am adding the link here. So if anyone wants, they can join from there and see what it is, and join our Discord server as well.
absolutely.
Okay, so I guess there aren't any more questions. So, can you just tell us one last thing? Who will just start? Somebody who's going to start just after this, right? Can you give some piece of advice or some piece of caution that they should maintain before starting with the tech? Just think.
See, if someone is wanting to start immediately after this, then I think a thorough research about the space, this contemplating on this talk and a thorough research about this space on YouTube and Google is pretty necessary, so that you identify that what sort of a project or what sort of, does this field interest you. That is one thing. You need to understand that, does this field interest me? Am I a tech person? Am I someone who can contribute to this and move ahead? That is one thing. And the caution is, obviously, don't jump into dreaming that you'll contribute. First, learn. I think learning is the best process. I believe that once you learn, you can do anything. So learn more and more. Pick one factor. You check out the landscape. Let's say you are interested in testing or service mesh or observability, anything. Then you pick what you want to learn and then learn through it. You learn about it. And I think if you just want to start post this, one thing you should learn and be well versed with is the language you want to contribute in, or Kubernetes itself. If you are good with Kubernetes, then you will be able to understand which project you want to move to. So I think understanding Kubernetes first, or basics of Kubernetes, is good, and then the basics of that particular project, or what exactly that the technology that project is based on. Let's say Litmus, for example, it's based on chaos engineering. So you need to understand chaos engineering first to contribute to Litmus, right? So similarly, to contribute to Linkerd, you need to understand service mesh first. So I think these, understand the basics, learn. It will take a couple of months. I won't say it will take like tomorrow you'll be able to contribute. You can, if you're an exception or if you are good at it. But learning these basics will be pretty helpful for you to move ahead and get started.
Right. I guess that answers a lot of questions. And as I can see, there are a lot of, I guess you made yourself a lot of fans here, because I can see Gaurav, I can see many people who are actually commending the session over here. And thank you so much for giving such a great insight to what the whole thing is about. And as you said, it's the future tech that we are moving into. So, I'm pretty excited to see how many, if people will use this technology in coming up with projects or anything at our DaeDarus hack, which is on 13th to 15th August. So I'm pretty excited about it. So thank you so much, Prithvi, Bhaiya, for joining us today and explaining to all our audience what is CNCF, how to, what is cloud native, how to start contributing to it, how to start learning about it. That was really great insight. I myself would just go now and I'll research a bit more about it, because I found it pretty interesting, and I would surely join the Slack and all the channels that you are talking. I would love to interact with the community, because I just love interacting with people and to know more new technologies. So that's a great. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you had a great, lovely time with us too. Uh, and thank you so much to every participant who joined us, who watched us, who will be watching us in the future. Thank you so much for joining in.
Thanks a lot, everyone. I posted the link to my LinkedIn. Anyone wants to connect with me, feel free to ask. And then thanks a lot, Abhinav and Animation, everyone who organized DaeDarus. I do join their session on from 13th to 15th August. Cheers. Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye, guys.